Hello, welcome to a new extra on tarot for our times. This is Sarah, your medium on the go, and this is going to be a Justice Matters series inspired by the Justice Matters channel with Glenn Kirschner, who's a retired DOJ prosecutor. I'm sure many of you are familiar with him. So, from time to time, when he has a really important video, I will look into it a little bit deeper with the tarot cards and see if we can get some more insight or some possibilities of what will happen. So, um, it's been interesting with the court lately because they haven't been rubber stamping him quite the way they were with that really awful decision of the executive or presidential immunity. And in his video, which I'll put somewhere somehow, in this is he he asks the question in this particular video, if if Trump defies court orders, can the court revisit that decision? And of course, he says yes because they already overturned Roe versus Wade. So he does go into how that they can revisit it. So I want to see pretty much what the chance of that is going to happen. I think what fotus didn't realize when he started appointing these judges is how, with a lifetime appointment, justices can change. I've seen it with various ones like Kennedy and others. I think I have a little cold or something. And the one I remember clearly was Sandra Day O'Connor, which was, I believe, a Reagan appointee. And I heard her speak at Chautauqua a number of years ago, and she really is like the old style Republican, Arizona, kind of that Barry Goldwater thing, coming from a very, fairly prosperous Republican family. And she seemed pretty conservative back in the day, but she did change. She did go through a transformation and in protecting women's reproductive rights. And they call them a swing voter because they never quite know which way they're going to swing when they vote. And when I remember that speech of hers that I heard, I'm sure that like the Clarence Thomas gang would consider her a rhino, that she would be practically a left-wing radical. Now, I know that Amy Bryant is she's been kind of breaking away a little bit. I would not call her Sandra Day O'Connor, but she is changing, and that's where the interesting part about the court is that people do change as their views change. Some may get more conservative, but I have personally noticed that they get a little bit more liberal as they age, because what should they care? They don't have to worry about being elected or being fired, or, I mean, you have to impeach them, and that's a process. And I don't know if anybody, maybe one person in the during the Civil War might have been removed, but that's very hard to do. So Amy Comey Bryant is kind of, you don't know what she's going to do. And then Roberts is also kind of wavering. And I believe he's probably starting to worry about his legacy. He will be conservative on a lot of things. I think if Roe v. Wade were to come up again, I really doubt he would do that. I don't know about her, though. That's very interesting. So, in this new series, I'm going to try to make these shorter videos and doing shorter spreads, so which I can get a little bit more in. So, I guess a big question is, will these swing votes of Roberts and Bryant, are they going to reconsider this I think what she's turning into is pretty much, and this is supposedly what the Federalist Society is, pretty much really taking the Constitution very strictly and literally. That's what they like to pride themselves on. So I think first I think I'm going to look at her in a very short spread. And we put this down here. Okay, her present energy is, it is the King of Wands upright. And this is interesting. This is a very male energy of being inspired. I don't see Trump as the King of Wands. It could be that she's looking at other sources, worrying about her legacy. And it could be because they keep in touch with the Federalist Society. I think it may be an old timer who really is a very strict to the Constitution thing that might have been a mentor to her. And a lot of those old guys are not really happy with this administration. So I would say that she may be getting counsel on not on what decision she's going to make, but just on a, just on a general base of the Constitution. So she may be going back to the old boys. Okay, so we have that. So in the past, we have her as the Four of Swords, and this could be, I would say that this could be, and kind of goes with this, pretty much taking a break to reflect a little bit when they're not in session, and using that time to see what the old guard says and reflecting on it a little bit. I'm not a big fan of hers, but I do give her credit for that very strict interpretation of the Constitution when all else fails. So what she is now, oh, here we go. She's really there for the justice and the law. As disappointed as I was about those two awful decisions, I think she rationalized by Roe, by the Dodd's decision, by saying, well, that's not really in the Constitution. And it's a mystery still as to why she went along with, I'm going to sense that she may feel that that was a very big mistake that she made with the immunity thing. I'm going to hit it with a clarifier. So let's see. Okay. I would say that she's looking back on that and feeling as though that was very uninspired, which can make this very simple. So let's see what's coming up with her in the future. I think deep down inside she really knows what to do. And it's interesting that was that a butterfly? Oh, those are wings. Interesting wings. The blindfold is wings of a bird, which represents freedom. She knows what to do, so she just has to remove whatever that is covering her eyes and doing it. When this card is upright, I see it as that the person is undecided. When I see it in reverse, depending on the spread and the energy, I can see it as they know what to do. It's just a matter of deep down inside, they have the answer. They just need to take the blindfold off. So I would say maybe that bird is ready to fly from her eyes and, give her the freedom to do that. So the bird ready to take off. What I'm saying is that it's not only about the revisiting this thing, which is very, I might do another quickie read about that, is that she may be ready to become more of an independent thing instead of like the whole Trump thing. In fact, it looks like from what I've seen of her demeanor and everything, she is really she's over him big time. She really is. And maybe looking for the high, when birds fly, the higher purpose of the Supreme Court. So I think that's really what's been going on. I would say probably in the last year or so. So I do get a sense of regret with that. And that does bring us to one of the theme cards of the year, which I've been a little remiss about, is our good old friend, the Five of Cups. I immediately just have them handy in case that comes up. What I'm seeing with her is that she is really regretting that decision, that she's really had second thoughts, and maybe some of the others, but she's not quite, although she's an ultra conservative, she's not quite the MAGA thing. And the whole thing that Trump needs to realize is that when he appoints them, they don't owe him a damn thing. They are appointed because whoever is president feels as though they are qualified. But if they're conservative, they're going to get someone leaning conservative. But they really have to accept their decisions. That's all. They're not owed that, although you'll never convince him of that. Okay, so let's see the old John Roberts legacy thing, and that he started to slip away too. I mean, they don't really care about what we think because they're in there for the lifetime, but they're looking at the history books. How are the history books going to take a look at them? So switching decks a little bit. So where he is at now? Oh, interesting. The Five of Swords. Okay. This is telling me he has pretty much gone along, more than she has, that's for sure. He's pretty much gone along with this regime in taking people's rights away. But as he looks back and sees the people wandering off, that's his legacy he's concerned about. And, he's holding most of the swords, but you want to look at his face as he contemplates, in the long run, is these so-called wins going to be worth it? And that he may be starting to look at the bigger picture. So that's where he is right now. In the past, oh boy, okay. In the past, their good old friend, the Three of Hearts, in reverse. What I'm going to say is that I think he knew deep down inside that some of those decisions were, you're supposed to go by the law, but when that's not clear, they were real heartbreakers. But he did it anyway. And so that it could be putting a thought into his mind about, maybe changing that a little bit. And that's why, and the regrets. I would, what this is telling me is that even in the past, there has been some feeling of, like, this isn't right, I'm doing it anyway, and maybe hoping it'll go away or something, but that doesn't quite work. So energy with that is, the sun in reverse really seems to be coming up a lot around anything with this administration. So okay, so the sun in reverse is the I would say is the overriding energy of this. And when this is upright, this is like really open, letting the truth out. And so I would say he's been living in his own little dark world of denial, and maybe letting some of the others like Thomas and Beer Boy kind of, although Beer Boy is a little swingish, but not enough, and some of the others, and maybe knowing that no matter how much you try to bury your head in the sand, the the light of the sun shines through, so there's that consideration. So in as a future, what does it look like in the future? The Emperor in reverse. Boy, there's a couple of things going on here. With the Emperor in reverse, it's about his being, somehow there's a tie with Trump. I don't think Trump has any of that nasty stuff he may have on Lindsey Graham and some of the others, but I can't quite tell what it is. But for some reason, there's kind of a tie to the Emperor, but also another meaning of that is that because the Emperor in reverse is a Trump thing. Emperor reverse is about him being the head of the Supreme Court, and that he may be seen as the Emperor has no clothes. So whatever loyalty thing that he has felt towards Trump, that's starting to dissipate, because how he's viewed in history may become more of the overriding factor. And again, I think I want to put a little bit of a clarifier on this, because I'm not too sure that, because he was appointed by Bush and not Trump. So I don't know if fotus has been doing a number on guilt tripping them or whatever, but I suspect that thing at that joint house, whatever the hell that was, and him saying thank you and I won't forget it, I think that might have done something. And maybe he's looking at, have I really been too attached to his agenda? Okay, so, well, this would make sense as the clarifier. He wants to get his own strength back. I think that could have been a turning point when he's saying, boy, that looks bad. That looks as though I'm Mr. Rubber Stamp, even though I haven't been, but I need to reclaim my own strength and rule on the way that I feel is right. It doesn't mean he's going to go against everything, but that he needs to develop a little bit more of a conscience. So, so that's pretty interesting. So I want to just do a quick read on, what actually is going to be happening about, might make this just a tad more longer. It's about what is in the future, and will Trump be refusing to go by these judgments, and then what's going to happen if he does? I'm sort of thinking I'm going to give that like 80% chance of that happening. So what is that to do? So assuming that, let's just say that he's less than cooperative, and because they won't revisit it unless it's something like their power is being stomped on. So I think I want to do one just a bit longer about if he defies them, what's the story that's going to be. So I'm going to do an abbreviated version of the longer ones that I do, and because this was the crux of Glenn Kirschner's video. Oh, and by the way, I hope I put his face on my thumbnail of justice. I hope the fact that he likes that I gave him hair. But at any rate, okay, so let us see. And I do need to shuffle these just a little. Ooh, just a little bit more. Okay. Just give these another bit of a shuffle. Assuming that he's less than cooperative. I don't know. I'm not getting a feeling like an out and out refusal, but starts to use that delay tactic, BS, and all that stuff. That I think that I'm getting a sense that, let's see if the patience runs short. So, let's say that were to happen. Who knows? I haven't had the news on for a while. Okay, so let's say that were to happen. Well, how would they feel about that now? Here we go. The Fool in reverse. They're going to feel like they've been made fools out of, that they're tired of it already. And they're also going to revisit the fact that decision may have been a hasty, foolish one to make. So, energetically, let's see what's going on here. The energy of that is the Four of Cups in reverse. And that is all about they had their eye on the wrong cup. And there's three of them sitting there. And this is maybe getting a little bit caught up in the emotion instead of the law and the Constitution. But that is what is perceived, and that's what's perceived. And that, again, goes to the legacy thing. So I think that is very accurate, that they focused too much on making him happy. I just don't get that with lifetime appointments. Thomas, I can sort of see, yes, with the dirt they have, and they're not all clean. I think, well, Alito has taken some, I don't want to call them bribes. It's for entertainment purposes only, but it's been less in ethical and the receipt of favors, along with Thomas, and maybe Roberts' hands aren't that clean, which might be the little bit of the attachment to. I mean, it's not that really, wow, Lindsey Graham, that's going to be a real blockbuster. Not that kind, but maybe a little gift here, a little gift there, but who knows. So, okay, so let's see. We'll do the one underlying thing of this is that Three of Pentacles in reverse. It's kind of like the administration is losing its argument. They're no longer on the higher ground. There's been money involved with it that shouldn't be. So this is saying, underneath all of this is that there are no, I'm seeing this as one of their attorneys who I know is embarrassed to, like, he'd be thinking I'd be flunked out of law school with this argument, but so it's seeing the lameness of all of this thing. This is talking about very weak stuff. So we're going to go in the past a little bit, and we have the High Priestess here with all of her secrets. It's interesting in this one. She's kind of floating above the water. You don't know if she's going to land in it or if she's emerging out of it. And there's all, it's funny because usually there's the dark white pillar and the dark pillar. This deck, they have those letters there, which I forget what they are, but there's no white pillar. So this is like the plunging deep into the shadow side of all this whole mess that's been around for 10 years now. So there's all of that in the past, but that's remained kind of a secret. It has remained a secret. So I do want to go the conscious and subconscious. Consciously, again, we have these, that's the Four of Cups. This is the Five of Cups. Okay, the Five of Cups, which is one of the cards of the year. Boy, regrets. I feel like Frank Sinatra. Regrets, I've had a few bursting into song. Okay. So the Five of Cups, boy, they're really miserable here. This is talking about, and this is the conscious thing, this is talking about a lot of regrets. Regrets, and they're feeling kind of stuck. I think I'm even, this may be even saying they're probably deep, well, let's see, this subconsciously. Let's see if my theory proves out when I do the deep down inside. They know they're not moving forward, which is telling me they're stuck, which is telling me that deep down inside they're kind of wishing he will defy the orders. So someone will bring that suit, and I think bada bing, bada boom, bada bang. It's going to be flipping that thing over. Now, I think it could be like it could be a 6-3 or a 5-4 thing. So that's kind of interesting. That just occurred to me. So they know that In order to get out of that quick, well, you know, that sand. I see this like stuck in the sandbar, and they're not. They want, you know, they're remaining the ugly ducklings, and they want to be the swan. Okay, they want to evolve, but they can't. They're stuck. So I think in a way they're deep. They would never admit it, and it's subconscious. But I think there's somewhere down inside where they really wish that he would not do it, so they'd have a reason to flip, because there would be a suit. Okay, so we have coming up in the future. Victory. Okay, victory for whom? I don't see it. This is focusing on the court. I would say what coming up in the future, I think they want to do a ruling where they're put back in public favor again. This legacy thing is bigger than I thought, though I do feel as though a clarifier may be needed here to give me a little bit more. Okay, okay. The Knight of Swords. Okay, we have the Knight of Swords here. I think what they want this to happen is to happen something quick, decisive. So that will put them maybe in a better light. I think STDs are doing better in the polls than they are. And lifetime appointment or not, they don't want to be remembered that way. So I think what this is saying is that maybe they're kind of hoping for this to have to come up again so they can look better. I even think that Beer Boy would change his decision too. Okay, so alrighty. So the outcome will be, the Magician. Outcome is the Magician, which you show, and this does go along with victory, showing that it's magic time, because they're back on top. They're back on top again. It's interesting because this looks like they may be looking at like he's dipping in the polls, and that this might make it easier for them to render. I mean, they're not going to do it all the time. I mean, I just heard they knocked down that clean water deal, so they're not going to be all the time. But I think what this is about, that it will show them, they'll feel as though they have a little bit more power for a better spot in history. So that is the outcome. And hopes and fears. The Seven of Swords. Hopes and fears. I think there's some that wish they could walk away without being scathed. I want to say that this is interesting. The fear, when this card comes up, when the Seven of Swords comes up in reverse, it's like the thief getting away with. No, he's no longer getting away. When he's upright, he's getting away with it. When he's in reverse, he still has the goodies, but he gets caught. He's about to get pinched as soon as he walks out, like walking out of a store as a shoplifter. He's going to get pinched. I think what this is, I think a big message of this is that some of these guys like Thomas are really afraid of getting, getting caught with the goodies that they're not supposed to be doing. I think they're smart enough to know that they're kind of hoping that both of those houses will stay red, but I think they're fearing that they're going to turn blue, because that could mean impeachment time. So an undercurrent of this whole thing, and this has been alluded to in this reading, is that that this is an undercurrent of their own corruption. They have to be kind of careful if they go too much in his favor. So I don't know if this will touch Thomas or Alito at all, but they may be finding themselves much in the minority. So those guys are walking a tightrope, because if there's a blue NAMI, next year, in next year's election, their asses are on the line. So, okay, so let's see. In the end, what can be learned from all of this? Okay. The Queen of Swords in reverse. I would say this lady is getting really, this the female energy of getting really fed up, and that eventually people are not going to be very, she's a real nasty piece of work. So what we learn is that by going against our values and going against the law, I mean, this one says we eventually get caught, and that, pulling favors. I would say this could really be the American public and the female energy of, we may not take out some might take out a gun. We may not take out a gun, but we will communicate the wrath with the communication of the swords to really tear these people apart and put the pressure that it's time for Congress to clean house when we get a decent Congress again. So I think I need to pull one more card just to see what this is about. Okay, so the Fool. Yeah, so with this, what can be learned from this is that when things get so bad with a body like this that is becomes so corrupted, and I think that they wouldn't dare, this is all telling me, they almost wouldn't dare give him total immunity, because they have the wrath of the American people they're kind of not afraid to take that leap. It's not like they're going to shoot them or anything, but I would say that there's going to be a really big movement, and possible people demonstrating outside of the Supreme Court. And also, I think that sometimes, she's supposed to be a lawyer, which but I think sometimes this can be any royalty with swords can be the media, and that the media, along with the rest of the people, would be absolutely merciless. So what I think these two in the end say that if this comes up and they don't reverse this, there could be some very big prices to pay for a lot of them, because they will go in and they are thinking. Don't let anybody tell you they're not thinking about what's going to go on with them in the history books. So I'm not too surprised, but I think that's pretty much it. I would say that if they care about how the history books are going to teach about them and what their lives will be after they resign from the court, which could not be too pleasant, I think that it looks as though they could. It's a big, we could never say for sure. I would say chances are pretty big that they could reverse this. They could. Okay, well, and I think it's important because, as Glenn would say, because justice matters. Okay, bye for now.